Hey guys, Brian from Apex Detail. Welcome back to the third episode of this 37 Hudson mini restoration series. Before we get started, I thought you would be interested in seeing some of the damage up close under the microscope. This cracking and chipping and failing single stage here, and also the just about completely rubbed through single stage here. So we'll pull over the microscope and I can give you a nice up close shot at the failure and the damage. Let's start here on the driver's side. The serious cracking and failing we have, this is what it looks like after 80 years of UVA, UVB, beaming down bright on this single stage, drying it out, making it crack, making it fail and fall away from the primer. I apologize for the shaking of the microscope. Really hard to hold that in one spot, but you kind of get the idea of what's happening here. This is what it looks like from the bird's eye view, and as we come up close on the passenger side, this is a side where the single stage is just completely worn and rubbed away from years of handling it. It's just nothing left on the substrate to cover the primer, and that's what that looks like up close. Kind of struggling to focus in this area, but I'll get it eventually. Right there is a good shot. That's what it looks like. I will show you exactly what I do in these areas to get the best look out of them in the situation they're in. Time to do some work on this finish. Normally you want to start at the highest point, work your way down. I can't get the camera that high, and I do want to show you as we're getting started here. So I'll work on this side, the passenger side of the hood. You want to mask down these pieces first, the stainless steel and chrome trim, not in fear that we're going to mess up the finish. They're already pitted and rusted, but if you can hear, they're loose, and you don't want any part of the pad getting in there and having a chance of ripping it loose, tearing it loose, or tearing up your pad. So we'll get the masking tape, the edge on the paint, and run it up onto the trim so your pad can't get caught in there, if that makes sense. And there is the turnaround without the overcorrection. As you can see, not perfect, but huge difference. What we're going to do now is get some measurements and see how we're doing on preservation. Yes, we had a turnaround, but are we shaving too much of the material, too much of the single stage? We had readings between 2.5 and 3 mils on this flat section facing the sun. Let's see how we're doing. 2.9, 2.7, 2.7, 3.2. Okay, so we're right there. Hardly anything was removed that's measurable. So I'm going to continue on using this method, get the turnaround we're getting without removing a lot of the paint. The roof is obviously a lot of real estate to cover, but we're getting there, making a lot of progress. As a quick teaser, after this process, there's going to be one quick step before protection. As I mentioned before, single stage, even in good shape, is very porous and absorbent and pulls down a lot of moisture and product that you lay down on top of it. Single stage this old is even more absorbent. So we want to lay down what you would consider foundation to cease that absorption. So the protection we lay down on top of it cures to a nice, even look and texture. That we're going to get to after I finish and continue going around and correct the rest of the car. A quick pause here to answer a question or two, and some great questions. And one of them is, for the price of the package, why don't they go for the overcorrected look and get that glass-like finish I've seen you achieve in some of your videos? And that is an option. We can do that. We can wet sand to make this look better, the cracks in the paint. But these packages, yes, they are very expensive, but we are taking the risk. We're taking a risk of anything really happening. Coming down off the roof, breaking a mirror, breaking glass or a seal, or burning through the finish, which could be very costly, end game costly. So we're taking the risk for the customer, and that's why the packages are so expensive. But to really answer the question, the more true the finish is to the era and the year of the car, the more it's worth. So I hope that really makes sense. We don't want to go any further than what we're doing here, because we want to keep it true to the year of the car, take that into consideration, and do your research and see what they look like that in that era. And the more they match that era, the more the car is worth. So I hope that answers one of the questions. And I will keep reading through, and if I come across other interesting ones, we'll address it as we go. This side of the hood and the whole roof finished. We can come in and I could show you how I take care of areas like this. Hardly any material, hardly any of the single stage left. All you see is the primer and some of the substrate. How do I take care of that? What do I use? Let me show you. So this is what I'm going to do first. I'm going to get a measurement in the middle, and it turns out to be between 1.9 and 2.1. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep working my way out until I get a measurement of about 2, 2.1, 2.2. All right, so that's about it right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the regular correction up to about this point here and stop. Yeah, that'll work. So it's going to be an area like this that we come up with the correction we've been doing around the rest of the car, and we're going to stop here. And what I do inside that circle in this area right here is this. This here is an application pad or a wax pad used to apply waxes or sealants. This here is Angel Wax Perfect Polish. You've seen it before. I rave this stuff for what it can do for me on delicate surfaces. Mostly a cleaner, but includes very, very fine abrasives and is perfect for an area such as this. Being able to bring a little bit of gloss and clarity to the area and clean it, yet not remove any measurable amount of product from the substrate. Two little droplets like that. The consistency is very thin, like milk. Like I said, it does contain very mild abrasives. This pad is really getting gummed up, but it still is effective. Tap out the product, spread it out, and we're just going to have the polisher on speed number 2, and we're not going to apply any pressure. We're going to guide the polisher. Just the weight of it at 4.5 pounds will be enough pressure to do what we want to get done here. You saw the speed of arm movement, the polisher on the second speed setting, just guiding it back and forth. And that is really all we want to do in the area, and you can see the outline, and that's where we're going to come up and butt up against that with our regular polishing routine. And that's exactly what I did here for this area. You see how it turned out. It is what it is, but you do not want to remove any more of the single stage, so that's how I go about it. And then this is the area right here. I'm going to stop with our regular polishing routine of the polishing pad and the 3D one. We can also double check that and get some numbers behind it. And as you can see, we hardly removed any measurable amount of the single stage, which is huge. That's what we're looking for. This here is a different story. No need for measurements here. This is the single stage that is cracking and failing and lifting away from the primer. We want to take this area, and we're not going to take any type of buffing pad and run it over here. We're going to do this and clean it up by hand. So we'll take the Angel Wax Perfect Polish once again and a foam application pad, which you can use to apply waxes and sealants. We don't want anything with microfiber, like a microfiber application pad. It will catch the edges of those chips that are sort of pointing up towards the sky and almost ready to peel off. We don't want to take any more off. So we don't want those to catch the hook and loop thread in some of those materials. So we're going to use the foam here to clean it up. And that will take care of that area. That's as far as we're going to go. Very light and small circular motions with the foam pad. If I feel it going up against one of those chips, I'll just lighten up the pressure and even lift the pad, get it up off of there. You can't help but to break some of those loose, and they will fall free. That's just the way it goes. You just want to limit as much of that as possible. So you can repeat that method as many times as you need to get it to look and match the rest of the panel, and then we're going to bump up against this radius, this little circle here right there, with our regular polishing method. I hope that makes sense. If not, just ask down in the comment section. That will wrap it up for the third episode. Stay tuned for the fourth episode. We're going to continue on and head back the side of the car. And then we're going to have a little patience and work our way around the front of the car, where it's very curvy, very sexy. We'll take our time around the lights, show you how I go about the venting here. And the back of the car has some really neat curves as well, and we'll take care of them. I really appreciate you guys supporting the series and stopping by. If you have any questions, don't hesitate. Brian from Apex Detail. Catch you in the next video.